Welcome back. It's another pre-premiere, and of course, this is the finale of Joe Stillwell's amazing encounter. 4 parts we broke it into. He had a lot to say, and we wanted to share it all with you as much as we could. It was cut down a little bit, but not much. And before I go much further, Larry always wants me to remind everybody that we really appreciate your support. And we really appreciate the super stickers, and some of you have been supporting us in other ways, but with Patreon and other methods. And one of the other methods that if you don't want to do YouTube or Patreon is to go to in the description. There's a link there where you can pay directly to us if you want to help support the channel. We've got a lot coming up in the future. And it's going to cost us some funds to do it, keep it moving forward, and hopefully expand to a level where, oh, geez, you want to hear that bell, don't you? Thank you, W. Decker. Thank you very, very much. It's much appreciated. Yeah, we have a lot planned, and one of the things we can't do, of course, is travel or afford to pay people to travel here. Thank you, Anne. But that's something we're hoping to do. We're also hoping to have more of a crew, because if we have more of a crew, as we did the other day, interviewing Yvonne and myself together for the next 2 parts you'll see starting next weekend. I talked about it last night, and Yvonne and I are old friends, and we worked together for years, since the early 90s. And so she came here and sat in front of the camera and told her story, because she has one, and she did have an experience, and she's kept it quiet for years, and she doesn't talk about it much at all, but she shared it with us. She shared it with me many years ago, but it was never to leave that room, and I stuck to that. And also, part 1 is about her experiences and about how she got doing this work, and how Bud Hopkins was very helpful in training her and getting her involved in this, which he was an amazing guy. Thanks to her, I got to meet him and spend some quality time with the man back in the 90s. It was amazing. But then we talk in part 2 about the Coronado mass abduction. And I don't know how many of you know. Oh my God. Becker, thank you so much. My goodness. I mean, really. I don't know what to say except thank you. I don't. Thank you. Anyway, how many of you know about what happened in '94? Yvonne wrote a book about it. Coronado. There was a conference there, and many of us from Ciro at that time, who all knew each other and supported each other in a support group and worked with Yvonne, went there. Catkins, you've heard about it. Good. The book's on Amazon. It's a great read. I'm not selling books for her. I'm just telling you it's good information. It's a good book. I'm in it. I'm called Sam. It's going to be re-released with my real name. So we went in front of the camera and we talked about what happened. I'm not going to tell you everything here because I want to save it for the show. It was pretty amazing. The 2 of us just sitting there having this casual conversation about what we recalled about it. I kind of forgot the camera was there. I got a little emotional at one point because when I was talking to her about it, it was just like I was right back there again. And what I was witnessing was just too impossible to believe, but that here it was. And there was corroborating evidence and other people involved. And we weren't allowed to talk to each other after that night. And And for good reason, because Yvonne put both the person I was sharing a room with for the conference and I were involved in something. All of us were. And um, she didn't want us talking. And we didn't anyway. I mean, the person I was with, who goes by Gary, um, unfortunately, he passed away. He didn't want to talk to me at all. He didn't want anything to do with me anymore. In fact, we were friends, and this is so common. So we never did talk. We just knew something happened. He knew. He was very upset. He was very mad because he um, had some marks in a very private area, and he was just hysterically mad about it. It was a very uncomfortable morning. And then in the support groups later on after the event, he didn't want to sit near me and want to talk to me. Nothing, because we are both taken and we're both put in a situation together. And you'll learn about that in next week's show. And it's in the book too, but there are some details that were left out of the book. I'm not sure why, and neither is Yvonne. She was pretty sure it was in there, but it's been a while. We'll refresh it. But it was really something. So that's what's coming up next week. And I have to start editing it Monday. I could have started yesterday. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I knew I had the footage and it's all intact. Taylor worked with me, who's been doing our editing, and he's also a very good cameraman. And we used 2 cameras this time on the shoot. They used the Black Magic camera, which is an incredible camera. Thank you, Mark Sims, who was kind enough to allow us to have use of that camera and some other things, which is, wow, really helpful, because we do need more equipment and stuff, because we want to do a very professional and we want to do a good show. We don't want to shoot with consumer cameras and use cheap microphones and stuff, because the more it's enriched in production value, the better chance it has of reaching people who are on the fence about this. And we need those people. Of course, I suppose that you've all heard about the Harvard thing, right? Okay, we're getting some questions here. Not many of you have heard about the Coronado, and Yvonne very badly wants to have that made into a film, and she knows the problem with that, and I know the problem with that. And that problem is that Hollywood doesn't take it seriously still, and even if they did, they don't care, because they just want box office. So if you've had an experience and you saw Grace and they talked kindly to you and you were seeing the inside of the ship, their version would be they had big teeth and were drooling and there's body parts all over the ship, and they'll wrap you in rubber dental dam, as we call it, sheets of rubber, and terrorize you and stick probes in you and make you scream for your life, because that makes money. That brings people in the box. That brings the ignorant public who is on the fence and doesn't know anything about this the way you do, it brings them into the box office. And in my opinion, that's just wrong. Why do you think 2 people who have the same experience and often not like each other afterwards? I hear this often, and it seems out of place. I don't know. First Coast Crypto. I don't. I have no idea. I don't. I hear it all the time. I mean, look at Terry Lovelace, who I know. I need to give him a call. He's a wonderful guy. Terry Lovelace, Mario Woods, myself included, have experienced that, and I don't know why. There's lots of theories. They're just theories. There's lots of ideas. They're just ideas, but we just don't know the facts. So. Crypto terrestrial, maybe on the moon, underground. And yeah, that is interesting. Jill, it's okay. And I meant to say hello to Rob. So it was Rob in the UK who said hello to me. And thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I do. I was going to talk about, uh, as hard as it is still to talk about, you know, it never gets easier. Ann Carter. Oh, yes, agree there. The community was so awful. Why do you think Whitley was portrayed as such a disagreeable person? It wasn't that, Anne, as much as because, you know, Whitley's gone through a lot of bad stuff and he can seem that way, but he's really not. And he's been through hell. And I love him very much. And I think about him often and we talk often. We just talked a few minutes ago on text. I check with him often, but no, he's not a disagreeable person. But and that's him right now. But I'll tell you who is a disagreeable person because I've worked with him, and that's the actor that portrayed him, Christopher Walken. Although we did get along in the end. Whitley sent me an image. Oh, he sent me a funny cartoon. What did he send me? Technology advantages, people stay the same. Thank you for cheering me up. I'll give him a love for that. Sorry. See, he's not disagreeable. In fact, he cracks me up. He's got a very twisted, bent up sense of humor, and I like that. Whitley and I have had a lot of good times together, spent a lot of time together, long drives back from places, and snoring in the back, and we've had some good times. But Christopher Walken is, and it kind of comes up through his acting, and I really admire him. He's a fantastic actor. I mean, Biloxi Blues, that role was incredible. But where they really went wrong, Anne, was just they didn't make the book into a movie. They made the movie into something else. They made it theirs, and it just didn't work. It didn't. I know a lot of you liked it, but almost without exception, every single person I've ever ran into that liked the movie and thought I would like it had never read the book. So, going back to Sunday night, I woke up on top of the covers. The covers were folded back like a pie slice, very, very precisely and very beautifully done. And my feet were over the end of them, together, my arms at my side, very much like what Joe describes, Stillwell. And I was cold. It was really cold, and I was really disturbed by this because I knew you just had that feeling that you just been placed there. You don't get up in the night, go to the bathroom, and then fold your covers back that neatly, and then get back in bed, lay on top of them, and put your feet over the end, and put your legs and your arms together perfectly, and go to sleep in the cold. I always cover myself up. I wear a t-shirt and a pair of pajamas, and there it was. Then the next morning, I got up and went to the bathroom, and then went back to bed for a little bit. And I had this dream, and I had a dream about being in some kind of vehicle, and it was kind of large and roomy. I felt like I was in a bus or a motorhome. I could see out the front windows, and there were all these colored lights out there, but the background just fell off into kind of a dark gray and black. I was confused, but it wasn't dreamlike. It was very real. I felt like, what is this place? Kind of thing. The next thing I knew, I was in what looked like a driveway in front of a house, but it wasn't a house. It was all very strange, and there were these teenage young people there. boys and girls, and they were dressed in sort of whitish gray, looked like sweatshirts. And they all had Eurasian looking features, a little bit larger size eyes, slanted. I'm looking at it now in my mind, and they were dark-ish, but I could see irises and pupils and things that they could pass walking down the street. Of course, people are so asleep at the wheel that you could walk down the street in a gorilla mask and they wouldn't notice you. It's been proven. You could have a gorilla come right into a crowd, dance around in front of you, and then go back out, and people won't even see it on video until you tell them to go back and watch it again. So that was odd. And they all looked at me, and they were very pleasant towards me, and they called me by name. And they told me not to worry. And this is really odd. What is going on here? And then the next thing I know, I'm in a, I thought I was in a house, but it wasn't a house. It was a big room, and they were all in there, and they were all having a very good time with themselves. And there was this really tall guy. I mean, he was like 7 feet tall, I guess, and he was very thin, and he was wearing what looked like a blue denim jumpsuit. He had red hair. I could see his face so well I could draw it. And I'd put him in late 30s, and he had maybe 40s, and he had these stunning blue eyes and this red hair, and he looked right at me as I walked by him, and I looked back at him, and he just gave me this smile. Oh, you saw the gorilla experiment. Yes, isn't that something? Uh, very, very, very good observer, Jill. And that was it. That's what I remember so far from that night. But besides the covers being folded back, that morning I got in the shower and my back was burning and stinging so bad. I asked Mary to look at it after I got out of the shower, and she, Mary's very calm, very cool cookie. She doesn't get hysterical. She doesn't freak out. And she just says, "Oh, okay. You got these scratches. They look like needle scratches or cat nail scratches down the middle of your back. I guess they've been at you." That was just a suggestion. She didn't know that for sure, but it was just something she said at the time. She's had other thoughts about it since, but I didn't take pictures of it. I asked her to take a picture of it. She said, "No, you don't need to do that." And I kind of agreed with her. I said, "Yeah, what are we going to do with it?" But then when I talked to Vaughn, that Thursday when she was here and we were shooting her, she asked for the picture. And she says, "If it's still there at all, I'll take a picture of it." And of course, when I did take a picture of it, it was like almost 5 days later. And so it healed somewhat. But, if Vaughn asked me to do something, I help her because, she's always been there for me for all these years. And she's really helped breaking the silence. In fact, I don't think breaking the silence would be what it is without her help. Like, no, it wouldn't. So if she needs something, piece of art, a picture of my gut spilling out from Gray's doing a surgery or whatever it might be, I'm going to give it to her. So, so there's this picture here, and mind you, this is 5 days later, just about. And unfortunately, I don't think there's any way with this system on StreamYard to zoom in. But so what I did do is I zoomed in Photoshop, and this is four-ish, 5-ish days later. If you zoom in, you can see they're deep scratches. You can see how close the scratches are together. And I have no idea how this happened. I have no memory of it, and I certainly didn't do it to myself. We don't have a cat, and Mary didn't do it. And if anybody would have done this to me during the night, I would have woke up. So this happened while I was asleep. It was not there when I went to bed. Because boy, did I feel it in the morning. And I felt it, and I didn't think much of it until I got in the shower, and it really stung and burned. So there you go. Have you had enough of looking at that? So I'll take it down now. It's disturbing. So that happened. That happened this week. And I'm starting to feel like I did in the 90s when when it's time to go to bed. I'm so tired. I want to go to bed. I know that's going to happen tonight because I'm just exhausted today. It's been a good day. We got lots of things done, and um, I've been talking to people on the phone and stuff, and working on the community forum, which we'll talk about in a minute. Um, and just some other stuff. And I'm exhausted from it. But I just don't know what I'm going to get again. And I remember in the 90s, I would stay up till 4 in the morning all the time. I'd just work on stuff. My late wife would go to sleep. The house would be quiet. I'd go out in the back. My shop was on the other side of the swimming pool we had attached to a garage. And I'd go out there and I would stay out there till sunrise. And then when everybody else was up, I'd come in and go to sleep and sleep to noon or so. Of course, if I was working on a set, I had to, I didn't get much sleep. I just went to the set, because usually I had to get up at 3, 4 in the morning anyway. So, but overall, I would stay up that late every night, and I guess I was just trying to avoid it. I don't know, but I still get that feeling now again. But I go to sleep because it's very important to go to sleep early, get a good night's sleep if you can, and then get up the next morning and face the day, get lots done. You're much more productive and successful that way. I don't think staying up late is good. I don't even want to do it anymore, but I do feel that, geez, everything was fun. Mary and I are on the couch, Nova, and we're watching good stuff before we go to bed, and then, oh, it's time to go to bed. So, and that's kind of back again, but I'm just moving through it. So that's what's been going on. So now I'm going to talk about the forum. Happy. Oh. Okay, so we've got a forum. Thanks to Mary, she looked in the other day and she found Pro Boards. Well, Pro Boards, I forgot about Pro Boards, and they've been around for years. And it was easy with an open source to create a good forum. And what I'm hoping that will happen is that many of you will join the forum, because the difference between a forum and Facebook, and everybody was telling me, just use Facebook. Well, the problem with Facebook is you will post something there, and then by the end of the day, it's pushed down. You don't see it anymore. Oh, it's there. You can scroll down and look for it, and you can add comments and things to it, and you can add some pictures and things. But after a while, people just don't scroll down and look for things. But with the forum, we've got individual sections. So we have an experience or story section. You can go in there, start a thread, tell your story, put pictures, put drawings, video, and people will come into that thread and converse with you. And they might share that something similar happened to them, and they can do that too. And it's all in that one thread where you can always find it under the topic experience or stories. And that goes for the news and the general conversation area. So you don't lose track of things. You don't have people saying, what are you talking about? Please bring us up to speed, because you're talking like we already know about what you've said before, and we don't. That happens all the time at Facebook, and I just got sick of it. So you can't blame them for not wanting to scroll through all that stuff and look down forever to find it. So each time you post again about something that you already posted about, you have to refresh that statement and then add to it. And that's ridiculous. And it's like that in almost every social media thing. So forums are great. That's where we started one. So here you go. And you see people saying, where's the URL? That would be under banners, and that is right here. Now, to see anything on there, you have to be registered. And the reason that you're forced to register, which is free, there's, we're not giving you away your information or anything like that. You can be anonymous. You can use a different handle, different name, different email, whatever you want to do, but it's free. And the reason we do this is because you don't want people coming in there, because that's how it works in forums. If you don't do it this way, people just come in there, trolls and bad guys, and start saying your people are all crazy, making jokes and putting up pictures of pornography and whatever else they do. So we're trying to be very secure here. We're really trying to protect you, all of you, from this, and we will. And that's why we need a moderator for this forum too, because Mary and I can't always be watching it. So, and we're real good at it, but it'd be very helpful to have some of you in there as moderators or administrators. And if you catch something, because they can make an account, and then they can go in there and cause trouble. We need to be able to get rid of them. So I think there's a way we can set up too that there are certain uh, questions that are asked about this phenomenon that they can't answer. They don't get to, like, well, it's a good one. Well, it was Whitley Strieber, because that's easily looked up, isn't it? But something like that, there's many things that we could do like that. It will help to a certain extent, we're going to look into that. But for now, if you register, you can be there, and I put in the general section, you can see if you're confused about how to put up attachments, pictures, I show you what to look for, and it's pretty easy. I mean, it's this attachment, load the file, and then insert the file, and that's it. Now it will show a tiny little thumbnail, but not until you actually post. Now the tiny thumbnail, you click on the thumbnail and it makes a large image. You see the larger image, so it does have that. So I'm laughing at Jamie. Yeah, they still use it. They still use it, Jamie, and they do. I can't really stand it either. So there you are. So yeah, they do use it. There's a mass groups in there, and I used to post my mass in there, and they used to gang up on me and say mean things and stuff. And the funny thing about it is that they treated me like, um, I wasn't one of them. Like I'm some new guy in the block making masks, and you don't know what you're doing. I've been doing this stuff since 1973 and worked on huge, big blockbuster movies like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. And these guys, so I just said, this isn't for me. So, other people, they'll get in it with them and say, don't you know who I am? And then they'll emasculate them and put up links and stuff. I just, no, I got better things to do with my time. So I got out of the mass groups. I didn't find them very cozy and welcoming. So, and people need to grow up. Well, actually, I think they need to go back to being more like kids. Kids, I mean, kids get mean, but overall, when we were kids, we were very curious and innocent. And then something happened, and they grew up, and they became bullies and meanies. So I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. People have been conditioned there and for shock. Well, yeah. Yeah, they are. But they're people, and they work hard, and they have losses, and they have loves, and they all these things are going on, and they're so inside their box, and they're not aware of our reality. They're starting to. I mean, we had Harvard come out. We've had the whistleblowers come out. We have another bunch of, I guess, experiencers are going to be in Washington talking to Congress next, and it's coming out of the woodwork. But despite that, it's still basically being ignored by the general public because they just don't have time to watch the news. They just don't care. They just want to get to work, make some money, keep the roof over their head, take care of their kids. And so if they have any free time, the last thing they're going to do is go to be depressed by the news or look into things like this for themselves. Now, if they're out and about on the beach with their family, which is what they do with time when they have free time, and they look up and they see something they can't explain, and they get excited about it because they've heard about it and they get video of it, from that point on, they're never the same again. So, and that's happening a lot now. And that's adding a lot to how things are changing and how people are perceiving this, because a lot of times people will bring up to me that they've either heard about what I've been doing with this, or they've heard about it in the past, and I'll kind of cringe a little bit, and they'll say, "Oh, no, 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 it's not like that. I believe you. I got to tell you, I won't tell anybody else, but let me tell you something happened to me." So I'm sure a lot of you are getting that too, I hope, because it's really helpful. Painful, thank you very much. And I know you have. He's been a supporter and been around since what? The You don't go as far back as Fangoria and Starlog and Cinefantastique and Cinefex, do you? If you say yes, you're giving away your age. But you probably go as far back as the early days of my YouTube channel, which was quite big, and it's where I used to build. Well, I did a 40 something part series of videos about building the USS Enterprise. This is a very large model over here. I mean, if I go over to it, put my hand on it, it'll give you an idea. Um, and I built it all from scratch, and I had some rather notable people that worked on Star Trek helping me get it right. And it was quite a project, and it took quite some time to build. And I did all the tooling by hand the way they did. And I made all the molds and did all that. When you started building the Enterprise, okay, and painful saying that. And it got a lot of attention, but people enjoyed it because they got to see Rosie and I almost every day in the shop. Rosie was there then, and boy, do I miss her. Um, and we were building the ship, and it was a great time while we were doing that. There were a lot of bad things going on in my life at the time when I was doing that, and mostly that was my late wife and her cancer. It was bad. So, but working on this and building a full size accurate captain's chair was was really helpful, because I have found that doing work I have passion for has helped me get through the worst possible times in my life, and I think you all understand that. You grew up on Fangoria, okay? Yes, that's my small P-51. I have one 3 times that size upstairs, and I do, and I've been flying for years. So I'm still building planes. Whenever I have 10 minutes to spare, I go out to my table out here in the back part of the shop, and there's right now a Newport 17 I'm working on from World War One. It's built pretty much the way the real plane was built, except with wood. Although there was wood in those planes, some of them back then, uh, in part, and fabric covered in the whole bit. And it's really good basket weaving, and then you get to see it fly. But the best part is actually building it. It's just something about it. It's just, again, it's something very grounding, and it helps you through things. So it is coming really helpful. So last night I was showing a neighbor you a paving film was, and he was blown away. Yeah, because they're darn aware of it. I mean, if you get a chance, and family members and friends, and you think they'll sit still for it, show them, because they think this stuff's still all a joke. They don't realize the breakthroughs that have been made and the people have come forward. I mean, for God's sakes, Harvard even comes out and says what she said, what they said. So about it, and you're going to see more and more in that, and we've been saying that, and you have been seeing more and more of it, and you will see more and more next week and the week after. It's just popping right and left. And um, I have been in contact with some of the whistleblowers, and we have become friends. And these are people that were working on the inside. They were the guys that were told to cover up stuff. They were the guys that had that security clearances to be familiar with things. I'm just being careful. And, you know, one of them told me once, he says, Steve, we're not all bad guys. We thought when we joined the armed forces, we were doing something that was the right thing to do. And I believe that. But then imagine your boss starting to tell you that you got to be deceitful and you got to cover up things and stuff. And this goes on for years. And you see things that you can never talk about and you're privy to. You can't even tell your family about it, which breaks up families and everything else. And they've been through hell. Then they get older, they retire, and maybe their security clearances run out, which sometimes they do, and they've had it. They got to get this off their chest. Of course, a lot of them, the people are suspicious of them because they were once intel, always intel. I don't know that's true. We're talking about human beings here. They're human. And they felt terrible about the things that they saw and did and were made privy to and not being able to share it because they felt in the end that we had every right to know. So, and you're going to see more of it. So, Steve literally built the best entertainment of my life. Star Trek, all the Star Trek stuff. Yeah. Well, Star Trek's, Star Trek really reflects Gene. Gene was a very positive guy. I mean, there's people always trying to point out his dark side, and he cheated on his wife and all this kind of stuff. But, the guy was a very positive, very, very jovial, very friendly, very approachable human being. And he cared a lot about the human race. And he really had hopes for it to succeed and go to the stars, stop fighting each other and get together and go out there, because that's where the big adventure is. It's out there, making contact with other worlds on their terms, and it can happen. It can still happen. Like they said to me, there's still hope. Don't give up. And I won't give up on that possibility as we scratch and crawl our way towards the stars. So, and the people that are doing that, those people at SpaceX, they're like you and me. They're scientists. They're good people. Same thing goes for NASA. They're there because they want to see Star Trek happen. And they don't have any choice but to work for someone like Elon Musk or the United States government and NASA and their cover up and touching up their photos. It doesn't pass down to them. It doesn't. Their only way to make that dream come true is to do the best they can. And the best they can, they have to either go work for NASA or Elon or, God forbid, Robert Bigelow, because those are the people who have the bucks. And there's an old saying in the aviation and rocketry business: no bucks, no Buck Rogers. And we want Buck Rogers. You see if anybody can tell me where that quote came from. Because I loved it. And I remember the first time I heard it, and I said, yeah. So if you're going to be hard on NASA or SpaceX, be hard on the people that are at the head of it, that, are the ones saying, touch up those moon pictures, touch up those Mars pictures. And Elon with his, boy, talk about politically incorrect statements and viewpoints. But I admire the people of SpaceX. I mean, look what they've done. And with him cracking the whip on him and treating him for the most part like garbage. So, yep, there's Lockheed and Northrop. Oh, good. Yeah, well, they all, Skunk Works. Without them, we would not have what we have today. So, geez, we got some aerospace engineers in here. You guys are my heroes. Anyone that can make my favorite plane in the whole world, the SR-71 fly, is a hero. And the pilots are too. The pilots and the engineers, they're rarely one and the same, but they work together. As Chuck Yeager said, let the engineers design the airplanes. Let the pilots do the flying. So I don't know about that. Roddenberry attended some of the sessions with the Council of the Nine. I don't know anything about that at all. I've heard about it, but I don't know. So I actually have an SR-71. It's a radio-controlled SR-71 with twin jet engines, and it's not very big. Boy, does it fly. It's really something. And because we have onboard computers today, we can keep it stable at that size. It's very fast and just a beautiful thing to see in the sky. I actually saw the real thing fly over me in person when I was flying once, so that was really something. There you go. Right Stuff 1983. I just looked it up. Oh, you looked it up. Oh, come on. It's amazing what you can do these days. Yep. Gus Grissom, who did not blow the hatch. That's the one thing they need to do with that movie. They need to go back, fix that, and re-release it in theaters because it's a great movie. They really captured. Yes, I know there were some inaccuracies. I know Chuck Yeager's F-104 didn't have the rocket on it when he broke the altitude record and nearly killed himself. But most of it was very accurate. And but overall, I lived through that period and I really captured it. Can almost smell it across the screen. So lots of tobacco. Yeah, yeah, I've been right up close and personal with the SR-71. It's just an amazing thing. So what do you think we have now? Because I guarantee you, they didn't retire that without a replacement. I know I've heard about the Aurora, and there's been pictures of it and stuff, but we're not sure they're really sure. The A-12, yeah, that's the other name. Thanks, Rob. The X-15, God, I love the X-15. I have several models of it, and one of them flies. More on that later. Yeah, I love the X-15. That was amazing. That was actually the first vehicle to make it into space, but it was never considered. Yuri Gagarin got that. Well, let's face it, he did go up in an even orbit. Our first guys just went up in suborbital. So what's going on with you guys? We got a few minutes left here, and we've been talking about airplanes and movies and things like that, but you know, curious. You're being quiet. I've seen a triangle ship that no one has that I know of yet. Well, the one I saw was very plain, very black, very big, a light, very faint twinkling light on each point of it, no light in the center. And it was magnificent, absolutely magnificent. SR-72 is said to be the real body. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there was the name Aurora. Recent findings at Skinwalker Ranch. What were those, Jill? Because I haven't been keeping up on that. I tried to watch that show and it was so, I don't know. I don't have anything good to say about something. Maybe I shouldn't say it at all, but it didn't work for me. And Mary didn't care for it much either. And maybe I should go back and revisit it. Maybe it's gotten more interesting, but it seemed very staged. And yet I know things really happen out there. They do. And there's no question about it. I mean, the evidence is there. It's been there for a long time before media got to it, television got to it. Just ask the indigenous people there. They'll tell you they're the smartest people on the planet, the indigenous people, the wisest, and very knowledgeable. I'm not talking about just in this country either. Has anyone ever seen the black sedans? I have back in the 90s. I haven't seen one since. In 1970. 1970, where was I? I was just getting out of high school. And I was seeing UFOs all the time, but I didn't know I had anything to do with them. I just thought I was lucky. I got to see them all the time. And I did remember what happened to me when I was 6 years old, but I just didn't connect it with that. I thought that was something different. Lights coming through my window, figures in my room. UFOs, they were two separate entities until a silly guy who just texted me during this show. He is silly too. Uh, wrote that amazing book, Communion. I would bet that a lot of people are going back and reading that book again. They should, because he really poured his guts into that, and it was so good. Someone the other day said, I never read a book cover to cover so fast in my life, and yeah, I agree with that. I did as well. I went back and read it again, and then I read every single book afterwards, and after a while, because we knew each other and spent so much time, he started writing little blurbs about me in some of those books. They're in there. He'll say, my friend Steve Neill said this or did that. I don't remember exactly what it was. I even did a book cover for him. I think it was called A Night with Demons. It was a collection of short stories. I did a painting. We got 5 minutes left. Communion is worth a second read. Come on, when I think about how far we've come on the subject since then. Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of how much more has come to the forefront, and how, with the whistleblowers and the admiral the other day. I'm having a senior moment about his name, the retired admiral, and many others coming forward, and the videos have been released by accident or leaked, and then the Navy admitted to them, and all that stuff. Yeah, we have come far in that respect, but I don't think any of us are being honest if we say we really have all the answers and we know who they are for sure. I see grays. I've mostly seen grays all my life. Do they really look like that, or are they projecting it? Are they really from another star system, or are they from another dimension? I don't know. There are so many questions that I have if I could sit down and have a conversation with them, but they don't do that. They say, it's time, we're coming. That was the last message I got from them. Before that, it was, there's still hope. Don't give up. This won't hurt you. We don't want to hurt you. You're very important to us. You're not like the others. You're different. I'm going to run out here pretty soon because they've been more, whoever this consciousness is, this non-human, I'm assuming it's non-human. On top of that, consciousness is, it's not definable. Only that we have this interaction. So, and I don't know what that means. It can mean so many things. It's time. We're coming. So I subscribe to Mary's book. I'm looking forward after this. I enjoy my time with you very, very much. And I enjoy doing this work. And afterwards, I'm going to go home. I'm going to relax. Probably watch an X-Files episode because it makes me laugh. I'm going to enjoy the day tomorrow in the sun. I'm going to do something different and live my life. We have to live our lives. We can't think about this 24/7. It's unhealthy. We need to actually do other things. Entertain your hobbies. If you're an artist, do some sculpting, do some painting. And yes, it's okay. You can sculpt a gray if that helps. I've done it many times myself. That's one of them. And yeah, live your life. This is part of it. And the universe is part of it. And it's really quite fantastic and quite wonderful. And if you're a car freak like I am, and you have a nice sports car, go put the top down and take a drive down a country road tomorrow. Breathe the fresh air. Look at all the birds flying and stuff. Then you come back to this stuff, and it's a lot easier. So I'm going to head on out. We're going to watch the show. This is the last installment, the finale of Joe Stillwell's experience. There'll be more from him in the future. There's another really amazing thing that happened to him, and I'm going to talk to him about doing that down the road. But next week is part 1 with Yvonne Smith. And really, thank you for the support tonight, all of you. It's really, really appreciated. And don't forget to go to our forum and join it. Just become a member. And I already put up a story. I started it. I started off. So you're safe. You can go in there and put up something of your own and start having the conversation. So anyway, we'll see you in chat for the premiere, and I hope you enjoy it. And have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.